Hello everybody and welcome to another episode from the Spirit server. And today I am located right in front of Galactic's starter base. To be honest, so small, pathetic, ignore my starter base in the background. The reason I'm here is this bee farm. Not really aesthetic, but functional well enough. This bee farm is somewhat communal. I've seen people take stuff from it, and I've also once, I think, asked if I could take a stack of honeycomb for some copper. I don't remember what I made with that copper, but yeah, I know I'd asked for some, I think. Or at least I planned, and I maybe never did, and this is all just fabricated in my head. But the main thing I'm here is that I need a honey farm. Because for our mega base, I'm gonna need honey block. Unfortunately, this farm is way too small for the number of honey blocks I'm gonna need. So I want to make not really that larger honey farm, but at least large enough. But before I build a farm, I want to build the rest of this base. My plan is to build a whole area here and have places for everything important, which are mainly two villager houses. One house which I've planned basically since the start to be here, and one other house that will be around here. These houses are of course meant to be for a cartographer and a beekeeper, which is not a real villager role, but it will just be a house in which there will be an entrance to an underground bee farm. I'll also try to later do something right here, but this is what I want to do first. Just to go around and prepare this whole area for what's to come. And of course I cannot forget that I also want to build a wall. And it's gonna be the best wall you've ever seen. Mainly to kind of end this base, since this kinda goes on into the terrain here, and I cannot really do the nice trick of building a stone wall around it and a cliff like I did here, with the cliff going here, the stone wall coming down up here, and then going around this whole area, finishing at the windmill at first. However, continuing here alongside this path all the way to the church, and even continuing after the church right here. And the thing is, the wall kinda doesn't have anywhere to go here. It could end like here, but what else am I supposed to do? Like, this whole area is really open, and I really want everyone to feel like they are just in a different world when they are in this base. I know that the spawn doesn't really help this, but still, I want to look at this and see mainly my things. I want to look here and see mainly these things, and I don't want to see my starter sugarcane farm or my tree farm or the rest of my tree farm or this village, which looks like it went through an apocalypse. So, without further talking, because it's completely unnecessary, let's jump into a time-lapse of time-lapses and do all of what I said right now. one quick time lapse and upgrade of tools of camera later, and this whole area is done. Kind of. But this is basically all buildings I want to build for this base, but there is still so much I want to add to this base. Mainly here, here, there, but mainly under here. Specifically down here, I want to add a bee farm. In a similar manner I did in the windmill with my other farms. I also want... Oh, this is... don't mind me, I was just AFK. I similarly want to build a farm underneath the house that will help me satisfy my needs for honey blocks and honeycombs. I also got a happy ghast in the meanwhile, and I thought it would look nice just floating right here. I have a place for it later, but that's skipping a lot. But now let's just go build the bee farm. So it's done, and it took surprisingly long time to make, and also adds this constant clicking noise, which is slightly annoying, but that's fine because it at least looks decent on the inside and it is working quite well. But building this was painful. The first thing that didn't work was my item filter. For some reason it didn't work, but I managed to fix it. I also forgot to, get ice. I don't know how I forgot, which are literally the most important thing about this whole farm. I'm bad at this. So now that that farm is finally done, I can also go back to where it all began, which is this path down here. And I feel it feels quite bland around here. And I think that's a shame, so I thought let's fill it up with fields. Let's put one there, one here, and one there in the back. And also put something up next to the windmill, But that's 4 crops. And I already have 1 crop here. There are Well, not 4, that's 5 different fields. Where will I get, like, 2 other crops? Like, right, carrots, beetroots, potatoes, wheat is already used down there. Well, I spent some time and actually got pretty lucky. And I got sniffers. Right here. And if we pull this lever, we will get a hopper minecart with seeds that they also nicely dug up for us. But we just wait for the minecart. Like that. And we got good 4 torchflower seeds and 3 pitcher pots, which all will be very useful for our fields. As you can see, we have only 30, around 30 of both, which probably won't be enough, but I have no idea if it will be or won't be enough for the fields I'm planning. But at least it's a start, and we will see if it's enough. So let's grab our netherite hoe and let's get hoeing and build some fields. Now. And it's done. Well, at least mostly done. The fields are not yet ready, mainly the 2 ancient flower fields. I'm still missing a bit, and I'm also missing a small part of the beetroot seeds, but I will stay behind and let them grow for a while. I really enjoy how they look. I think they really add to this path. I think it was pretty bland, now it's not. There are some beehives. They don't have any bees. I might add some bees to them. I might not. I'll see how I feel. And of course there's also the vineyard. I really wanted to build a vineyard here. Building a diagonal vineyard is weird, mainly because of the chains. You really need to like factor in how you look at them for them to look good. So I did it like this. These ones are from north to south, these ones are from east to west. Because when you look from this point, which I figure is the like point you will look at them from up close, you see these as slightly connecting, and you see also these slightly connecting, but way less, because it just doesn't work as good when it's diagonal. I also tried to be unique, uses the thing that the texture pack for bush leaves gives these weird downwards tendrils to mangrove leaves, and also use acacia leaves, not acacia, azalea, flowering azalea, as some grapes, because the purple flowers, they do look slightly like grapes from the far. So that's good. And since the azalea leaves are very light, I just added vines on top of them to just make them a bit darker, so that they look a bit better. Of course, down here we, as we already shown, have the weeds. I moved the ghast from up there, being tethered to the window, to be tethered to this fence. I think just floating around in this part of the base is way more natural for it. And of course we also have the ghast shrine, or ghast torture device, depending on how you look at it. That I realized that it does really look like I'm torturing this poor little guy by having water all around him, except not on him, for him to be, you know, brought back to life. Oops. But that is basically it for this base. But don't worry, even though we are finishing finally the starter base, I have a... Can you move, Ghast, please? Thank you. I have a big, and I mean huge project. A mega base, if you know, you could say. And I've got all that planned, so don't worry, this series is not ending yet. There's way more to come, and if you wanna see it, don't forget to like and subscribe, so that YouTube knows to give you a notification for when the mega base, well, the first episode of the mega base, comes online. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!